Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Let's Play Italy in Hearts of Iron 3 number 15. We left off with a lot of fluidity in our northern front. We have made a lot of progress in Ukraine, very significant progress. The enemy is starting to hold up against us in the northern areas. However, we still have a large expanse where the two fronts have met together, which is largely devoid of enemy forces and notably has access to a lot of key victory points for the Soviet Union, including eventually Moscow, although that is far out of our strategic range for this episode, I am assuming. We also managed to more or less hold this region. You'll notice by the shift in lines that we have made some minor progress. They've made minor progress as well, though, and it really just makes the whole front into a confusing mess. This massive stretch out, this massive salient we created, was completely destroyed and pushed back by the Soviets. The one mechanized unit we had was encircled and destroyed somewhere around here. So that entire force is dead and this area is collapsing. We did manage to destroy most of this Soviet pocket. We have at least reduced it significantly. They do have an exit route over this way, which they have been using, and which has led this infantry unit all the way over to here. And really, though, we have really destroyed quite a few of their units. We still have a supply issue, which is quite noticeable, quite notable either way. It's also a bit of a problem, and we'll hopefully have that resolved or in the process of being resolved now that we've opened these new supply corridors. And once we clean all this out, we should be able to clean up this whole area, and that should really smooth through the way our supplies go. Over here on the German front, first of all, we'll look over at Finland. They've made some minor gains. They have made a lot of losses in the south, which is probably very significant. The Germans are losing some areas, but moving forward in others. So ultimately, we have managed to get the Soviets and the Germans back onto a rough parity. Not parity. Parity. Essentially, that means their forces are roughly equivalently strengthed. So that's good news. That means the Soviet Union won't just destroy the Germans, and vice versa. So we're really the only ones making any headway. Over here, you'll see that Persia made some slight gains against the Soviets, but also some major losses, and Soviet forces are at the brink of pressing into Afghanistan and India. Afghanistan now in the Axis and fighting the Soviet Union, by the way, which is kind of weird, but why not? The Americans are making considerable gains in India, and we just recently took back control from the AI of all of our suppression units, so we're going to have them all retreat to here, and we may as well just start talking about Operation Tzarshaker. So all of these units are going to retreat over to Karachi, where we'll send a fleet to go pluck them up and send them back home, as we're really just abandoning the subcontinent at this point. It helped us for a little while, but it isn't doing much right now. I'm also going to really quickly shuffle around production because I just started the game up and it tends to want to waste production for no reason. We're not really doing anything with Persia. Over here in the front, we're going to continue to try to destroy all that remains of these Soviet pocketed forces. And we're shifting to a new strategy. Over here in the northern Caspian Caucasian mountain front, we're going to just try to roughly defend some areas. We have lost Stalingrad, although that isn't really all that important. The most important thing is that we encircle as many Soviet units as we can to just do as much damage as we possibly could to the Red Army. Over here, we're going to try to roughly defend this area. We may end up being forced to fall back. We may end up pressing forward. It really depends on the level of force and the strength that they have, really, when we're fighting them. And that really does remain to be seen. We'll also try to continue to just destroy that encirclement, which would do a bit of damage to the Soviet army, as I believe there are a few decently high-quality units, a mechanized and an armored at the very least, some infantry and an airborne, a bunch that we don't actually know what they are. And anyway, so we'll just destroy that encirclement, press forward, and attempt to encircle everything that we can of these Soviet forces, at which point I assume it will be an hour and we'll have to move forward. Alright though, without any further ado, let's go ahead and begin. Now, this is all maybe a little much to be doing right now. Let's see where we just got attacked, because we are facing some really unfortunate battles at the moment. We'll have to just stay right here, see if that makes the battle go in our favor anymore. Right there, this unit is undersupplied, which is terribly worrying. We are surrounding that enemy force, which is good though. Right there, we're facing a pretty bad battle. We'll just go try to destroy that force, or at least do a lot of damage to it. We'll probably have to cross the river back to do some damage here. We won that battle instantly, which is great news. And apparently some other battles as well. Up here, where we're actually trying to defend ourselves, we're going to retreat from any terrible battle, because that'll just push us back to more of our troops, which is a fairly decent thing to get pushed back to, as that'll really aid in our ability to defend ourselves. These units are all going to start rushing forward, because we need to get our command structure up to the front as quickly as it possibly can go. Are we just giving orders to the same things over and over again? Come on, guys. We'll go ahead. This unit should go up there. This one, I guess, will go this way. This full army is already moving. I believe that's orders for everybody. Alright. And these units will go over, well, we'll actually take the infantry up this way, because we're going to need to defend up here, and infantry's best at static defense. So we'll rush them up. These units are probably alright where they're at. Right here, that battle's going less than spectacular, but not so much so that it's really worrying. We are managing to press through the Soviets in these areas, which is very good news. We'll try to just destroy whatever we can. This battle's going slightly poorly. We'll just attack right there, and it looks like we'll just win out loud, which we just did, so that's good. We can now move this force. Alright, so that battle's not going to be won, and we really shouldn't waste our troops trying. We'll try to support these guys, and that is working somewhat. Let's keep going. This battle's going very poorly, but we're trying to evacuate from there, so it doesn't matter. These forces, we'll have them roll up. We are starting to face supply issues up over in the very top of where our forces are. And this force will go this way. Oh, apparently it's being attacked. So no, it won't. It'll just stay where it's at. Alright, let's see what we can do. These troops will go in and reinforce. We did win that battle though, which is good. Apparently we're losing some of these battles, such as that one right there. We could probably move in and just try to destroy, or at least damage, this Soviet unit. It's not going perfectly well for us, but it's also not going very poorly. A lot of provinces are being lost. Provinces being lost is really just going to be part of what occurs in this war, because we took a lot of territory we couldn't really hope to defend. Apparently we're looking at those ships now. Alright, what's going on over here, and can we make it into a victory? Let's just start going around and attempting to encircle these Soviet forces, because they're there to be encircled. Let's see if we can just win this battle and do some damage here. It looks like we're definitely going to win that battle. Let's see, where can we get our air tactical bombers? We'll go ahead and tactically bomb these guys just to get them to stop being such a problem. I think that was first tactical bomber. Yes, it was. Where's second tactical bomber? We'll have you tactically bomb these dudes. And that'll hopefully clean everything up, at least a little bit. This force will rush over and try to encircle these, or try to just cut off the Soviet unit retreating. Everyone else is to keep moving forward. Apparently we're fighting right there, trying to move forward. We don't actually want to do that. And now they're probably going to counterattack, which they did, and we're going to just flee from. These units are going to start pulling back because we really don't want them to be out of position. Whereas this battle right here, we'll fall back from there. And we might just generally begin falling back away from the Soviet forces. Just because it's not really vital that we fight them here, we're really trying to just encircle as many of their forces as we can. And we can do that without losing any armies in any dumb fights. Right here, this battle's going kind of poorly. We'll go reinforce it. And that battle's going very well. So that's nice. These forces are all encircled. We should probably bring some bombers over to just bomb them. Let's see, we can probably support these guys right here too. So let's do that. And it looks as though we won that battle, which is nice. What about this battle? It's going mediocre. Right here we can probably rush in and chase these Soviet units down. Alright, everything's going fairly well. We'll rush these units back. This unit can probably just attack because those are just two headquarters and it'll win. Bunch of attacks, lost territories, all sorts of things. Just usual stuff at this point. This unit will continue to fall back to the river, roughly. And this unit will chase down that Soviet infantry group as best it can, but they both go the same speed, so who's really to say? It looks like we just instantly won that battle, so that's nice. Hopefully we'll cut off that Soviet force. And these guys are all encircled, though not much is really happening. This battle's being won pretty handedly, though, which is good news. We'll charge in with these really unsupported units. Very low quality attack there, but hopefully enough to just move forward and do well at that. Alright, right here we should really chase down this Soviet unit. We have a bunch of cores doing not very much. We'll probably keep them around right here, not really move them forward too much. These units are going to start breaking away from that city just because we don't really need them all right there, and it's not really doing us any good. We did manage to win that battle, so we'll just follow up with all of these units. Probably rush a couple over, or just this one over to this province to prevent them from escaping anywhere. We won that battle just the day of. We've won that battle just the day of. This unit will just keep going. Well, we'll send them down this way. This unit will keep cleaning up this region. Losing some provinces. We can probably just charge on this one, and it looks like it's working, so that's good, and we'll follow them up. What's all this? We won that battle. Not that we were really hoping to, but we pulled it off anyway. Some battles won and lost. Looks like we're being attacked right here, and we don't really need to defend that, so let's not try. These units will hold on this end of the river. This unit will go back to that city, Kiev. And alright, we'll just pull everybody back to get something resembling a front line. And we'll just stay where we're at otherwise. This unit right here, we'll retreat them down. We'll meet these two units up right on that port, and everyone else will have to meet up at the northern port. We have lost a few of these units, and it's bad, but it isn't terrible news. We should also probably actually get the Second Armada in position to start evacuating everybody, so we'll move them first to Oman, where they will wait and hopefully be able to extract everybody in the nearish future. How well that's going to go definitely remains to be seen. Why is this unit going there? Stop doing that. You guys go up. You guys go up too. You guys start encircling every Soviet unit you possibly can. And you guys start going up to encircle those guys. Let's just go to this one. That works. And we'll just have everyone encircle everyone else. Encircle, encircle, encircle. It really is the vocabulary of this whole operation. And I don't believe they'll be able to get out, which is pretty swell news. Let's see, these units can just rush up. We are getting tactically bombed by the Soviets, which is a little bit of a problem, but not so much so. These units are probably going to be able to charge in and just do all the damage we need to against the encircled Soviet forces, and it looks as though they are. And I believe we're still bombing them, which is pretty swell. Apparently this entire organization staff just ended up plopping back into existence right there, based out of absolutely nothing, so far as I can tell. More power to them, I guess. It doesn't really matter all that much. We are still chasing this one infantry unit down, and it's going the same rate we are, so good luck with that, us. We'll go around. Let's see, we are winning some of these battles, which are probably pretty key things. Apparently we're still fighting one of those battles. We did win right here, so that's good. They've given that up. And we've destroyed all of the encircled Soviet forces, so everyone here just begin rolling forward as quickly as you possibly can, because it's time for us to make a lot of progress against the Soviet Union as quickly as we possibly can. We should also probably see about adding a war goal. We can't until September 8th. Alright, right there. It looks like we finally did win that battle. We'll roll our troops around and over. Looks like it was kind of pointless sending this guy down there, but we'll send them over and around in case it ever helps. Let's see, we've destroyed that Soviet force. Cool, go us. We'll charge these guys over to the river, where we're going to try to make a defense. And we'll leave these guys right here. Let's see, what's going on with these troops? Apparently they're trying to go somewhere. Let's see if we can't stop them. And it looks like we will be able to stop them pretty handedly as well. And there we go, we've defeated them, they no longer exist. Can we just... oh, no, we're being attacked right there, so we can't use them to launch any other attacks. Battles happening everywhere. I believe we're retreating from there, but the Soviets are still attacking us, but it's not going very well for them. I mean, we could just stay there and deal with it, but we're not going to. We're going to fall back to the other side of the river. Looks like there's a Soviet unit attacking us here. We could probably actually make some gains against them, seeing as they are now weakening their position considerably. And this unit will just have to roll over and get out of where it's actually at the moment, and everyone else will just kind of push forward. In fact, if we allow this unit to fall back, we can probably trick this Soviet armor unit to charge up. Ah, they stopped. Well, it was a nice thought. As infantry units charging up, we can probably just encircle this core. Not that it really matters to encircle a core, but we could do it. Alright, those Soviet units are encircled, and that's really just what this is going to be a lot of for basically the rest of the future. Is just encircling the occasional stranded or semi-stranded Soviet unit. This group's going to have to fall back just because there's a lot around them. And all these forces, if they ever get supplied, will be able to just charge on through up against the Soviet units and just into the heartland of the Soviet Union. This corps will go and fill out the rest of the encircling units because they may as well, they really aren't doing anything else. The infantry will stay and defend. This unit will go charge up and reinforce. This unit will also go charge up and reinforce. Everyone else, please get some supplies so you can begin participating in this invasion. And we might actually be able to charge up to Moscow, though I really wouldn't recommend it because it's probably going to put a lot of our troops way too far out of line. Sadly, the Soviets did reinforce that one area with just additional armored units, so we may have to just sadly stick to our plan of not really punching into them, but just actually defending ourselves. So with that in mind, we're going to stop sending those orders for our units to punch into them and just focus on defending themselves. It's really redundant, but that's just kind of what's going on. We'll go take Kursk, though, because we can. This unit's under attack. Keep retreating because we need to get you guys out of there. Where is our navy? Not quite there yet, but fairly close. That battle's doing fine, which is good. We'll probably just encircle that headquarters because it's there to be encircled. Everyone else, keep charging on up. I don't know what the quickest way up there is, but apparently they found it out. Right, these units are all moving forward. Kursk is going to be ours in a second. Let's see, all sorts of battles being won. Good news all around. Looks like they're trying to retreat over there, so we'll just prevent that. Can you attack? You can, cool. You kinda can, not really, but do it anyway. We'll hope for the best on that. Kalash, Ishkanov, other Soviet-sounding names, all of them are falling to us. Padovlovsk. Are we winning this? No, we are not losing. We are losing that quite a bit. We're losing quite a few of these areas. Alright, so the Soviets are definitely bringing around their A game for this area, which is a bit of a problem because we have none of our armor anywhere nearby. Right here they're trying to cross over, but that's obviously doing very poorly for them, which is pretty swell for us. All these forces are going to keep charging forward wherever they're able. Supply issues definitely being the biggest concern. And we are getting a bit of a stable-looking front. All these units finally have supplies again, so they're going to just rush up and rush over and just do everything that they can to get to the front lines as they're developing. These units will rush over. Everyone else we're just going to try to do what we can with. These units will probably go to the other side of the river. Everyone here is going to be the main thrusting force up through the Soviet Union, to do whatever damage they can. Let's compare to the plan. We are getting pushed back a little bit further than we had hoped. Over here, it hasn't quite gotten to it yet, although it probably will eventually. All these units will be free in a moment to go over and assist, so we'll actually start shipping them over, because that's going to be a big problem eventually if we let it. I guess these guys are still airdropping supplies somewhere or other. We'll have them just air supply that guy because they need it. And let's see, what are we going after? There are a bunch of Soviet victory points up here, so we could just start carving our way through them. They aren't anywhere near surrendering, though, which kind of makes that a bit futile. And there aren't really any Soviet units left to encircle, because all of the units that were here, as you can see, have just all been encircled and destroyed. So we should probably begin to redirect these forces. Let's go ahead and just add a new layer of this order group. We could probably go ahead and set up a quasi-defensive, alright, like somewhat defensive perimeter right here on the river, and then with the forces that remain, charge up and around and try to encircle and destroy whatever we can of the remaining Soviet forces. So that could be our overall goal. We could try this big sweeping maneuver. I'm sure we're going to find more Soviet units over here, so let's go ahead and just draw that, because I'm sure there will be something or other of Soviet forces here. So that's a question mark. Because I assume they're going to be in this rough area. They wouldn't just give us Moscow, and if they do, then we'll just go rush up and take Moscow if at all possible. I can't imagine that that will happen, but you know what, we're going to try it. If we get our forces nearish there, then we'll just try to run over and take Moscow. So we'll plan for that. Let's go ahead and boop, there we go. Possible invasion of Moscow. Now with that all said and done, by the way, that is the first time we have changed the battle plan on the fly. And I really feel like this game, and seeing how battle plans actually turn out when you're actually fighting the battles, really makes me realize that Hearts of Iron 4 is going to be pretty difficult if we're actually supposed to plan out our battles in advance, because I probably wouldn't be able to do that with anything related to consistency. These forces are still moving forward pretty swell. Looks like this unit is kind of still retreating away into an area that might be a problem. So yeah, we'll just push up here and then just roll over around. The main issue preventing that right now is that we don't really have supplies anywhere for any of these troops. Let's see if we can fix that with just a subtle shifting around of leadership. Logistics Wizard, that's a really good thing to have. That group doesn't really matter. Alvest doesn't matter. What is Bagjagalon? Defensive Doctrine and Old Guard. We do not want an Old Guard. Let's get someone with better traits getting on into this. Let's see. Battle Master, Engineer. Defensive Doctrine we don't really need. Offensive Doctrine might be good. Combined Arms might be good. We need someone with skill, though. We'll go for skill first and then anything else. We'll get this guy. He seems good. Combined Arms is going to help us a lot because most of our forces are mechanized. And I assume that that will help with that sort of thing. These forces are going to keep charging forward. The United Kingdom's still doing their thing in Africa. This battle is weirdly not as lopsided as I would have thought it would be. Now it looks as though we're going to have to still chase down the Soviet cores. Hey, Sochi, that's where the Olympics were held recently. How fun. That unit's really not doing well there, so we're not going to keep that up. We'll charge the infantry run where we can. Supply issues are really being a problem, and it's just the major limiting factor at this point. That unit would probably end up in a really bad way if we put it up there. These units can realistically probably defend this side of the river. We'll send this infantry unit up as well. We are winning some of these battles. It's not going great, but it's not going poorly either. These guys we can all just send forward, hope for the best. We'll send these guys down and around to just try to destroy those Soviet units. And wherever our armored units aren't really being battled, we'll just charge forward and do whatever damage to the Soviets we can. Tons of enemy attacks are occurring right here, for instance. We're just going to fall back from that. We'll charge these units forward, though, because the Germans are actually pressing forward and we want to support them wherever possible. I guess it doesn't really matter if we go there or not anymore, but we already are nearly all the way there. So we'll just keep up the chase. Looks as though that Soviet unit has been destroyed, so we'll just follow over with all of these forces. This unit will go try to destroy whatever Soviet units it can get to. Same with these guys. Everyone's just gonna rush over and do what damage they can. These people need to fall back. Everyone else is really gonna just try to hold this position and get ready for a charge up into the heartland of the Soviet Union in order to do all the damage we possibly can and hopefully get a large-scale encirclement of all of their frontline troops. Is that really realistic? Well, we'll find out, won't we? We've had some pretty decent luck. Our supply issues are really starting to get in our way, but not any more so than they've ever been, as we've definitely had times where supply issues have been just the thing holding us back. These forces are going to start moving over this way, as it looks like that's going to be the most important area to hold on to, as there is just a lot of pressure coming from over here in the Eastern Soviet Union. Up in the center, we're really breaking through quite impressively, I would argue. A lot of these units can't really do much just due to the supply constraints, but that isn't that important, as they really are just supposed to be holding the line as it stands. Can we gun forward into this province? It looks as though they immediately retreated, so the answer would be yes. Alright, this armored unit's going to roll around, and we're just going to try to get as many units as we can on the front in as responsible a manner as possible. The infantry will try to stay in places where they won't have to move around very much. Looks like this Soviet unit's attacking us, which is kind of weird. We'll try to rush around and encircle them and destroy them like we've done with a lot of Soviet units in that region in the kind of distant past now. That battle's going kind of poorly, so we'll not fight it. We could just return this armored unit to go fight that, and we'll probably end up doing that. These units are all rushing forward or around or just in various directions. It looks like they're trying to attack right there, which is a bit of a weird focus, seeing as we have most of our force in the region right there. And now that we've won, they've realized the error of their ways and they're trying to retreat. We'll send the infantry up to attack them. We'll keep one of the armoreds back to reinforce, and this infantry unit will also rush around. This unit will charge up this way and try to just encircle and destroy it if possible. Gudieres, we're doing not too well there, and I don't actually believe we'll be able to encircle those Soviet units, but we will just go around like that. Let's pick up this navy and go rescue these guys, because that needs to happen immediately or they will not make it out. Looks like we won a battle against the Soviets up here for this city. It is now September 8th, and we'll have to wait until September 9th apparently before we can add that war goal. Those units will continue to charge up, and it's going to be very important that we escape with what we can of our suppression units. Ooh, that's not good at all. That's really bad, in fact. I mean, we won right there, so that's something, but everywhere else around that's kind of a disaster. These forces will go to this side of the river. Everything on the other side of the river is going to be a bit under threat now, which I guess isn't terribly new, but we'll bring all of these forces up to try to reinforce that area and hold out. Sadly, the Americans are attacking here now, which is a big threat. So we'll just park these guys right here and hopefully do enough damage that they give up that battle long enough that we can evacuate. We'll attack these Soviet forces in order to just breach right there. We've now won that battle. Let's go around and try to just win the surrounding areas. We've lost right there, which is bad, but when the Soviet unit forces its way over, we'll just encircle it from behind, and that will be at least some level of progress. These forces will probably not go quite so far forward, as that is going to be very difficult to defend. We'll send this unit forward. This unit's very disorganized, so it won't go all the way up. This battle we have won, and we can just trap and hopefully destroy that Soviet unit that will have more or less encircled. That battle's going kind of poorly, in fact rather poorly. Can we just charge up there? Looks like we just won that immediately. Alright, we'll just keep that force there. All these Soviet forces are being a huge issue right there, not really because of their ability to fight us, just because of how just awful they are to fight. This unit needs to keep retreating. So the front isn't doing great everywhere, but it's doing alright in most places. Right here, we're going to try to just encircle this one Soviet armored unit. Hopefully they didn't really account for that. These forces are doing slightly less than great, so we can probably just retreat that unit and get them out of there. Alright, we'll actually fall back right there and just move this unit back. We were trying to go up to this area, and we'll have that pretty much on lockdown if we manage to secure the area before it. These units are all going to start charging over this way, where they're going to hit the primary Soviet front with as much force as they can muster. The infantry units we can bring forth are going to try to rush over here, as well as the armor, and they'll hopefully be able to make some sort of defensive position and hold it. So there we go, we've managed to destroy that core. We'll try to just cut off the Soviet forces we can cut off. Let's take a look over here. Are we still fighting this battle? We are, but it's going much more in our favor. Looks as though we won that battle, so let's go just destroy the Soviet unit. And that's going very well, so that Soviet armored unit will hopefully just be destroyed. We are facing some Soviet aggression just throughout. That was a very nice thing we managed to pull off right over here, though, the slight encirclement to that Soviet unit. These infantry guys are going to just keep rushing up. Alright, let's keep charging forward this way. Battle of Bombay is really going to be kind of clutch to whether or not we can evacuate any of our forces or not. We'll go seize the important key Soviet city of Oriel, and hopefully cut off and destroy at least one extra unit of their armor. Let's see, these mechanized forces will go roll over and around. We'll bring this unit back a bit, and try to just destroy that Soviet armored unit. We'll charge these guys forward as best we can to try to just maintain some semblance of command and control of our armies. Hopefully that will... There we go, that destroyed that Soviet unit. I wasn't sure if it was mechanized or what, because I didn't actually pay enough attention just now. At any rate, though, it's still a good bit of damage, and it was a very fast mobile unit, which is one of the main types of things we're trying to destroy. So we did very well just then. Now it looks like we'll win that battle, and we did, out loud. That unit's really disorganized, which is not great. These units are all going to charge forward. This unit will go bridge that gap. This unit will rush up. These guys will go all rush and hopefully get around them. Looks like we won and destroyed those Soviet forces. We could probably charge straight into Moscow. We probably wouldn't be able to hold it very long, but we could take it. And that might be worth it. Just take it so that we can have it for a moment. Alright, all of these forces are now going to charge onto that Soviet group. Apparently this one ran out of supplies the moment we sent the order, which is very convenient for them if you don't want to actually do your job. Battle of Bombay, we have won, so let's rush over here immediately. Rebase in Bombay. Pluck these units up. They did well, they defended themselves. We'll go rebase up here in Karachi. And we can probably Well, we'll get the core out. We'll get India Command out of there. Let's see, we've lost that province because these Soviet forces are somehow still just gunning it through our countryside, or I guess technically their countryside, and let's add a war goal, why don't we? Alright, add war goal, acquire territory. Western Poland is probably a good one to add, maybe the Urals. Let's see. Karlia, I should probably look up where Karlia is. So, give me a second. Karlia, Russia. Where is that? That's the bit next to Finland. So that's interesting. Sakhalin, I believe, are the islands. Turka, it's probably some Turkish area. The Urals, it's kind of obvious. Siberian areas. Tanu Ukarahani is probably Tanatuva. Karlia, okay, I actually now recognize it as being Finland. Well, let's go ahead and also get the Baltic states, because we don't want to leave them in Soviet hands. That would look awful. So we'll get the Baltic states, then we'll also get Soviet claims on Finland, which would just be these bits. Then we'll probably get Finland from Finland when we go to war with the Germans. We'll just keep adding war goals, though, just to be sure. It's the only way. Alright, right there, that's going poorly, and everyone's horribly undersupplied, so let's just fall back out of that. Let's see, technology, theory, supply stuff. Let's rush all of these because that's horrifically important. Hey, and we're at 140% officers, so let's go ahead and technology. We will focus all we need to on research. A very tiny bit on diplomacy, not at all on espionage. And we should probably also get some artillery researches and whatnot. So we'll just go meet that. And then we'll just rush all those up to the top. Alright, and there we go. These forces are going to start turning around, and actually we could just start gunning it towards the Soviet capital. But we do really need to take out all of these Soviet forces. So we'll go after the Soviet forces first. That's just the responsible thing. We'll eventually get their capital if we manage to kill all of their armies or, you know, force them to surrender. So we're not in any real hurry to achieve the capture of the Soviet capital. Just because it doesn't really provide us any strategic benefits we wouldn't achieve otherwise through less invasive means. These forces are going to keep retreating. Looks like we can probably just go take out that group. Come on, go ahead. That group seems to have finally run out of supplies. Everyone here is rushing back to the front. These units are chasing down that group of random Soviet command structures. Which, yeah, that's a thing. Okay, looks like we have a lot of units just chilling out over here. We can't really get them forward because of all the terrible supply issues we're facing. We might be able to just rush these units forward, seeing as the Soviets don't appear to have very much in the way of force in the area. They did just win a battle against us, which kind of goes to disprove my point, but that doesn't matter all that much. These units we will not take to the front because we really shouldn't if we're facing all these supply issues once again. So we'll start moving back some of our infantry. Armored units are going to be the most important thing, so we'll rush those up. Mechanized units will follow shortly thereafter. So we'll take those units forward. All the infantry we'll try to send back to Sevastopol. All these units don't really matter, and we can't really send back anyone who's currently at the front because they're already doing very important jobs staying and fighting in the front. That battle's going fairly well, actually, considering the amount of force being thrown against them. Right here, that battle's going kind of poorly. We'll not attack them then. These forces will charge forward. Everyone else is just going to try to make whatever gains they can. And just gun it to the best of their abilities. Let's see, over here in India, we'll try to attack these dudes and see what happens. It's going pretty poorly, so we should probably stop. So we will stop, and we'll just load all these guys back up, and we'll drop them off in Muscat, Oman, where we'll leave them for now. These units are going to try to keep retreating and hopefully evacuate at some point. Maybe to Afghanistan, because that'll probably take them. Alright, we're going to stop attacking with you because that was just an attempt to get the Soviets to stop attacking our troops, and now that they've done that, we don't really need to go forward. These guys are all going to keep moving up. If they run out of supplies, they'll just hold the line defensively and hope for the best. That battle's still going poorly. We'll try to rush around the Soviet forces. Looks like we won the battle basically the moment our reinforcements got there, which is kind of to be expected. These units will rush up. And let's see. These guys are doing pretty poorly now, but we'll just bring reinforcements around. We did destroy that Soviet armored unit, which is pretty good. And further weakens their cause. These forces, hey, we won because they realized how little territory they control in the area, which is a good reason to win. I'll accept it. At any rate, it's good enough. We'll just go attack these forces, and it looks like we're making this area not so much of a terrible disaster. We did win right here, which is pretty swell. We'll move this unit back because they're very disorganized. All of these units will probably just rush up and over. We could probably charge into these Soviet forces. We won't really gain very much by doing so, but we won't lose anything either. So we'll do that, just because. This unit will probably rush over and up if we're able to. No, it looks like we're actually being attacked, and that made us retreat and lose. So, whoops. Alright. Let's see, we're getting bombed right there, which is less than ideal. Everyone else still moving forward as best they can. That battle's kind of awful, so we'll not fight. You guys keep going. You guys cross the river if you feel like it. Well, I mean, you're ordered to, so just do it. Alright, these forces will go and try to circle around the Soviet armored unit. We'll charge these guys up. We'll leave the infantry behind and send everyone else forward. What's going on right here? Soviet units are fighting us and doing a pretty decent job of it, so we're going to fall back. We could probably attack them, but it's not going too well, so we'll stop doing that. Apparently there were a lot of battles just back and forth over pretty much nothing just a moment ago. And they are fighting us right here. We're going to go around and just try to do what damage we can to their units. Can we attack with these infantry and do well? It looks like we might be able to. That group's doing significantly less well, so we're going to hold them out where they're at. The United States is doing its thing, taking over India. Not really anything new there. That battle's going less than amazing, but we're bringing our forces up now that they're slightly more supplied. Whenever we get supplies, we're going to just charge our forces forward to the best of our ability. That unit we're going to fold back with because there's just a lot going on around them, and we don't want to waste our troops if we can avoid it. Right here, let's see. Can we just win if we charge into them? No. So let's stop. Alright, though. This whole area is less of a disaster than it was previously, so we can go ahead and stamp that title on the operation and call it something of a success. These units will go over. It's now September. I'm not sure what the weather looks like, so let's take a look at the weather. And I realize that I'm not sure how long we've been doing this, so alright. Looks as though some areas are kind of frozen, but really it's still more or less summer-like. And the Soviets are generally just being pushed back. If we bring up the lines, we have managed something of what we were attempting. We did just finally destroy that Soviet force down here. Let's turn this unit around then and just kind of hold this into the river. Alright, so we are kind of achieving things. We did manage to press forward a bit. Let's look over at the lines. And we'll see that while we are definitely losing ground over here, we have finally cleared up most of this. They are still in existence, which is such a problem, but almost a resolved one. So we are losing ground here. We're losing a little bit of ground here. The Germans are finally making some progress again by the looks of things. The Finns are not really doing anything, but we did cut a large gap out of the middle Soviet Union. And the most important thing, above and beyond anything else, is that while we are losing lands on 2 of the 3 fronts, we are encircling a lot of Soviet forces. So let's go ahead, stop looking at that for a moment, and keep up this fight as we're nowhere near done yet. Alright. And let's see. Is this group under attack? It is, but not very effectively so. These units are going to keep up their encircling efforts. The Soviet unit has realized what's happening to it. And we could probably just attack with all of these forces, but we don't want to just yet. We want to slow them down in a moment. So we could just attack with this one group of infantry. Hopefully they'll consider fighting the battle out. Sadly, they did not. On the bright side, though, that means all of these units are free to just charge forward, as the Soviet unit will not fight them. Alright, charge! Alright, we're doing well in that battle, which means we won the battle over here. How well is this force doing? Not too well, but not poorly either. This battle's also not going too well, though. So we'll just encircle them with this force. These guys are going to carve their way up to Kaluga. We did lose that battle, and we are losing a few of the surrounding battles, so we'll retreat with this unit. And a lot of these places aren't doing very well at all. We'll actually bring the armored unit over. And we'll leave this guy there because they need to defend that. Alright, so we're getting pushed back in a lot of places now. These forces are going to charge in and try to do some damage to that Soviet unit. And that looks to be going alright. We have completed this encirclement. Yay. And we'll just try to destroy them now. These guys are going to keep trying to go forward every time they get anything resembling supplies. These troops are going to roll over there and try to just stop the Soviet counterattack. Where are some of these negative battles going? Right there, which, ooh, we really need to get out of there right now. Right here, so we'll fall back there. Right here, but we really need to defend that. Right here, this is going poorly. Hopefully not so much so. We did lose this battle, which is significant and problematic. If we can get those reinforcements up, though, that would be great. It looks like we might not actually be able to withstand their outbreak attempt, or breakout attempt, or whatever. This unit, probably shouldn't have attacked with that one, so good thing we canceled that attack. These units are all fighting right there. We lost that battle, but we still have enough forces we can hopefully encircle them. Bam, all of a sudden they can't win that battle. Is this doing okay? No. Alright, lost that. Come on, let's destroy this armor. Yes, alright, the Soviet armor there has been destroyed. Everyone else is going to charge forward. Good news for that part of the front. Looks like there's some Soviet unit right there. Can we beat them? Nope. Plan B then is we'll just start going back because we don't want to actually get encircled. These troops continue to gun forward wherever they're able to. Looks like we won right there. We'll bring this group around to cut off that Soviet mechanized unit. That's really the problem with mechanized units, is they move so quickly and so well that it's just too easy to trap them just because of something dumb. Looks like we won that battle, which is swell. We'll just counterattack right here. That's doing great. And there we go, we've won that. And this battle is still going in our favor, which is pretty good. We could try to encircle them. I'm not sure how well that would go, but we could try. We'll charge this armored unit up to the other side of the river. We did win this battle basically immediately without even really a fight, so we'll charge over and around and just encircle them, hopefully destroying them in a moment. Let's see, it looks like we won that battle, so we'll charge forward with the remaining forces, which hadn't really been doing much up till now. These guys still have supplies, so they're going to be the new primary offensive. And the Soviets now have no troops here and few troops here. Tons of troops over here, but I mean, we're defending most of the area. Is this an American? Oh no, it's Sweden. Oh cool, Sweden, yay. Ah, wow, that is much better. If that was an American force, I would have been just terribly upset and very sad. Alright, these troops are doing really absolutely nothing, so we'll probably just run them up to the corner where they're going to hold out, hopefully till the end of the war, or die. Where are these guys all? They're still right here. We'll just start taking them home, since it doesn't really matter all that much. Is there anyone else still trapped? Oh, these guys. Well, best of luck, but actually they can probably just retreat to Nepal. Nepal's probably a pretty safe place for them. Is Nepal at war with America? No, it isn't. So, yeah, we'll charge these guys over to here and get them out. Everyone else, we'll just bring over to Istanbul, or right here, where it's slightly away from Istanbul. Battle of Korets we have won, and it looks as though it'll just be a few moments before that Soviet force is destroyed. All sorts of battles being won just everywhere. Let's see, we're being fought right here, which is a problem. Hopefully these troops will beat the Soviet forces they're trying to encircle. These guys will go double back. This force will see if they can take that city without a fight, and if they can, then they'll do that. Soviet Union is not entirely ready to surrender by quite a bit, actually. We're actually nowhere near close to them being surrendering. And I'm sorry to kind of just mislead you right there in that one sentence. Alright, these forces are all going to gun it forward to the best of their ability when they get the opportunity. Apparently these guys are just not able to move forward because I guess they just can't move into that territory. It's probably one of those giant marshlands that just sort of pervades the middle Soviet Union. So it doesn't really make sense sending enough, or that many forces over there. Alright, come on, you guys can do it. I have faith in you. These troops are also going to charge over here to try to encircle the Soviet forces that had been sent to destroy our group that just kind of brazenly charged forward into the heart of the Soviet Union. Looks like we won that battle. We're not actually going to go into there, because that would be a death sentence to all of our men. How's this going? Mediocre. But we won it because they don't want to fight. Good enough. What about here? We can win that. Alright, these forces will all kind of charge over this way. Well, I guess a portion of them will. Everyone else... Alright, so we'll just kind of keep a decent-sized force this way. We might even attempt to just charge through and cut off these Soviet forces, because I don't really think they could stop us if we do it well. Let's see, what's going on right here? Can you guys retreat this way? Alright, cool, they can. So we'll just retreat them into Nepal and they'll be safe there. Alright, Soviet Union is basically in full collapse mode. I really think that we've got this at this point. There's not really all that much I believe will stand in our way. I said knocking on wood because that could be a really awful thing if they do. Right here, we can probably encircle those Soviet forces. Are we going to win these battles? Probably. Maybe not so crazily well, but we will probably win them. The Soviet Union has realized what a terrible mistake they've made by piling all of their forces into this little pocket. We'll charge down and hopefully do some damage here. Looks like we won that battle. And we'll just kind of fight them all everywhere. Let's see, battle one. What about right here? Looks like we won that battle, if it was even fought at all. Can we charge up into these guys? Did we really win that? Wow, that's awesome. Alright, with that battle just immediately won, we'll charge these forces over here. That battle was lost, evidently. But it looks like we won the follow-up engagement. We do finally have an armored unit over here, which means that this part of the front is no longer going to just be a terrible disaster waiting to happen. These units will charge even deeper into the Soviet lines, and all of these infantry and whatnot will probably just be overwhelmed in a few moments. So that's cool. Let's see. Yeah, they did unfortunately reinforce right there, but we'll just pile into here and all these surrounding areas. And that will encircle and destroy that Soviet force, so good on us. We can just go take this city over without a fight and then roll over and get them back into a supplyable area, really. It's just all that would be. Let's go fight these guys. Doing great. Everyone charge. 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 Keep charging, everybody. Just charge wherever you can. These forces are all rushing up. If we can take over this river, then we'll be in a really well spot. That was kind of a dumb battle to even initiate. Don't know why I thought that would work at all. Alright, we've won right there. We've lost right there, but that's kind of an obvious place to lose. These Soviet forces are still going to be a bit problematic. We can probably just destroy that group. And we can. I was right. Good on us. This group will just keep moving. This group will go over this way, generally. America is doing their thing in India. And we didn't quite make it to Moscow, but that wasn't really a primary goal. It was just something that if we were able to cut our way to, we would go after it. We didn't really manage to cut our way to it, though, and we're not going to waste our forces trying to do something completely ridiculous when we can keep encircling the enemy and win a basically guaranteed victory that way. Looks like we lost that battle, so we'll just keep the forces around it in the area. Alright, a bunch of battles won. Various troops doing their things. This battle is going really poorly, so we'll just fall back from there. Get these forces over and around. Looks like we're facing an issue with supplying these troops. Air transport, where are you at? Alright, we'll go rebase you here. And just start air supplying that group. We've won against those rebels. Yay us. We'll retreat from there. And yeah, we're really at a point where I think that we could probably safely give control over our armies to the AI and just fast forward to the end of this. There would be some benefits and some downsides to that. Key benefit, it would take less real time to do, which would mean that if we were to just give over control to the AI, that they would probably be able to defeat the Soviet Union in just probably an episode, I would say. Just given the strength of the Soviet Union and ourselves, I think an episode is a reasonable amount of time to expect that they would make it against, say, a 5-speed AI. Downside, though, would be that we would probably not see very many, if any, encirclements ever again for the rest of the war, and instead we would just be us bludgeoning our troops against the Soviets, which has some pretty obvious downsides, namely that we would be bludgeoning our troops against the Soviets, and we do still have a few more wars to fight before we can expect to win this. Namely against the Americans, who are just building themselves up as a major problem. They're also really making progress against the Japanese in the Philippines right now. Let's see. We could probably just call it right here for today. I am actually kind of tempted to see if we can press through at least a little bit. Can we take this city? No, we can't. Let's not try anymore. We will try to just do damage to these Soviet units. Looks like we can do that, and we'll just rush up with the rest of our forces, hopefully cutting them off and destroying those 2 units. These guys will charge up. It's just too armored. This infantry unit will go over. Hopefully we'll get enough supplies to that group to actually get them out of there. This area appears to be at least somewhat defensible now. We've won that battle because they don't really want to fight us. They do have an armored unit, though, which is going to complicate things in the future. Alright, so we'll just call it right here. And let's take a look at where the lines had been and where they are now. You'll see the Germans are really making gains now. So that means we've done a terrible amount of damage to the Soviet forces because, well, otherwise, how would they have been able to push back? We did actually manage to defend everything that we had once had, even move them back a bit. We've taken over all of this area in central Russia, which is a huge boon for us. This area has started to fall, which is far less than ideal. However, if we look at victory points, it's actually probably one of the more important areas we could have held. We'll probably have to push our way back there if we're going to win this eventually. But the most important thing is we now have access to all of these areas with a very limited Soviet ability to respond and defend. These 5 or 6 provinces, 6 actually victory points, if we manage to clean up this area, we'll be able to just roll over and take those out with relative ease. I'm not doubting that. Weather-wise, it looks as though nothing's really happening with the weather, no storms or anything. It's still not even very frozen. So it isn't quite the Soviet winter yet, so we will probably have a few more months of rapid advance, which could very well take us to Moscow. Although that may be a little bit much to hope for. Over here, even Persia has made progress, completely cutting off these Soviet forces from supply, which will hopefully be a really significant turnaround. The Americans have made progress, slightly quicker than previously. This unit's going to also rush over into Nepal while we remember to. The Japanese are actually losing ground against the Soviets in some places, so maybe the Soviets are focusing more on the east. It would be a terrible mistake on their part. The Americans are definitely pushing back the Japanese, having taken over this entire portion of China and a decent amount of the Philippines. Over here in Africa, the situation remains largely unchanged. The African militia known as the United Kingdom has seized 3 more provinces from us, and there are also some rebels of just some various nationality. Yeah, so just some various rebel group owns part of that. Alright, overall though, I would say we have achieved, let's take a look at Operation Tzarshaker. I would say we've achieved a decent amount of our objectives for this. We did manage to defend that area. We have not only defended right there, but we've even pushed beyond it and surpassed our objectives. Very much so, in fact. We've pressed way farther than we had hoped. Over here, we're doing slightly worse than we would have anticipated or would have liked, which is a little bit of an issue, although ultimately not one that I feel will have very disastrous long-term consequences. We will eventually need to push our way back into there. However, by the end of winter, we will have a full 8 new armored divisions. I believe that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we'll have 8 new armored divisions. They are slightly more mechanized than armored in comparison to our previous armored divisions. But they should hopefully provide enough of a boost to just push us through and destroy the Soviet forces there, if we need to. Ideally, we'll be able to deal with them with the forces we have left, simply because we are still facing a pretty severe supply issue, which has been the main thing keeping us from moving forward at the rate we would like. All things said and done, though, I don't think it would be unrealistic for us to expect to press into Moscow by the end of our next video, which would be on Saturday, which interestingly would be the last video of the week, so we might actually manage to end the week with Moscow in our hands, although probably not end the week with the Soviet Union capitulated, as, quite frankly, I imagine the Soviets are going to be able to soldier on for quite a while, even without Moscow. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We have made tremendous gains and some minor losses, but mainly tremendous gains.